I'm going to kick things off right away with our first speaker, Keneisha Williams. She is the founder of Black in Events Network. Keneisha will be talking about creating sustainable brands in a socially charged world and the ethical obligation to employees due to virtual technology. So Keneisha, I welcome you to the virtual podium.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes. Well, I will leave you to it and I will escape and I will see you soon. I'm looking forward to your talk.
Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate that introduction. Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. Thank you, Eventcombo, for having me. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Before I kick it off, I really want to commend Sarush for doing what you're doing. I think it's incredible. And, I definitely understand when it comes to filling the gaps and wanting to create change. I definitely can attest to that. And, you all are doing such a great job right now with that. And I really want to talk a bit about some of the things that you touched on. And Suresh was definitely like A1 when he said the events industry is going to change. What we knew of it before is not what it's going to be. So it's definitely important to be in tune with everything that is happening. Now, because I'm the first speaker, I know all of you are, still settling in. So I just want to know, where is everyone residing right now? I'm in Toronto. So if you want to write in the comment section in the chat, let me know where it is that you're from. Because I'm excited to know who I'm talking to. So I see Denver. Shout out to Denver, San Diego. Wow, Las Vegas. Hey, I'm dying to go to Las Vegas. So that is great. Now, I see a lot of places: New Jersey, Indianapolis. Okay, San Diego. I'm loving it. Okay, New Orleans. Exciting. So I love to kind of start off with a little game. Oh, New York. I love New York. Hey. So when we talk about, when I'm starting these things, I like to start off with a little game. So I know some of you are from the events world, obviously. So I'm going to start with a quick question. I'm going to do it this or that. So let me know which one you prefer. All right. Do you prefer small gatherings or big parties? Let me know in the comment section what you prefer. I don't know about you, but I'm now loving small gatherings. If you asked me 10 years, maybe 15 years ago, I'd say big parties with a nice drink. I see a lot of big parties, actually, big parties post-COVID. That I can definitely agree with. And lastly, let me ask you, do you prefer YouTube or Netflix? Let me know in the comment section what you prefer. Netflix. Okay. Lots of Netflix. Really? Okay. I like YouTube because there's so much you can learn from on YouTube, but Netflix is my go-to when, I just need to relax, right? So thank you all for getting into that and letting me know. So as I said earlier, I'm really excited to be here because you know what? We're celebrating the industry making a comeback. And if you ask me, events are going to make a huge comeback. And with having said that, with comebacks comes what? Sometimes what? Setbacks, right? If you know, right now, currently in the events industry, we are struggling to retain talent. And it's also a crucial time now to really reflect on what we've learned to ensure that we are building a stronger events industry for right now, but most importantly for the future. And it's something that Sarush really touched on a little bit. So I'm going to touch on the soul of the industry almost. I'm going to talk about sustainability and our obligation as, event organizers, as leaders, to really be in tune with what's happening around us because we have that obligation. So some of my presentation will be a little bit heavy at some times, but I promise you it's for a good reason. So I hope you guys ride with me right now and enjoy what I'm about to speak to you about. So I'm going to share a little bit about myself, and that's really going to help to kind of, form the story, the topic that I'm talking to today. So I've been working in events for about 10 years. I specialize in event management. More recently, because of obvious reasons, I've transitioned to more consulting based. So whether it's brand management, event consultation for the logistics of your virtual events, or social impact, which is my thing right now. So I'm also, as mentioned by Karen, the founder of the Black in Events Network. And more about that, it's really a globally inclusive network that was designed to help represent and amplify Black professionals in the event space because we are so underrepresented. It's helping to connect us to networks and jobs and educational opportunities and social opportunities. And what's unique about our platform is that it's not like a box. So we have our supporters, our allies, that are also part of the journey, because in order to really help shape and change the industry, we got to do it all together, right? So also, I'm a task force member with the Events Industry Council and also the Event Well team with respects to improving DEI initiatives. So really my goal is always to create visibility, whether it's with people, companies, the brands. It's always about us being visible, and that's all of us, right? Because what is business without visibility? So why do I even do this work? Why did I start the Black in Events Network? So I'm going to give you a quick dive into my career and why this was started. So I've primarily had the opportunity to work primarily in the corporate space in the events industry. The thing is, working on a lot of teams, I always found myself to be the only woman of color. And that doesn't say that I worked on terrible teams. Like, I've had great teams and had great experiences, travels, you name it, done some really incredible events. However, in those environments, sometimes you do experience microaggressions, you experience unconscious biases. And what happens is it impacts sometimes your work. That's happened to me, right? So, this story that I'm sharing is not unfamiliar. It's especially not unfamiliar to people who identify as BIPOC, right? And a lot of these common issues, I'm gonna explain some of the common issues that a lot of BIPOC individuals face. And when I say BIPOC, I mean Black, Indigenous, people of color. And it's, a lot of the times being passed over for promotions in favor of less experienced coworkers, often finding out that you are earning less than others in the company. Also, you may be having to miss out on opportunities such as jobs, RPFs, which tend to go to more favorable candidates. And this is something that we've seen a lot in the industry, which I believe is something that really needs to change. Vendors being overlooked sometimes because they're smaller suppliers, because they're, suppliers that are part of, different cultures. So this is very common in the industry. And these are, again, things that we need to start working on. So there have been those in leadership positions who often overlook BIPOC individuals to be mentored or form a healthy working relationship. And sometimes this stems from the idea that we can't identify with somebody, so we tend to kind of overlook them, right? Also, many organizations often rely on diverse companies only to do multicultural projects. Those are big issues, right? So as organizers, we really have to ask ourselves, what message are we telling our clients, our employees, our customers when we have these issues happening in our business? So due to those issues, those gaps, myself and my then business partner decided, it's time to create a progressive and safe space where Black professionals, BIPOC individuals can just connect and have their presence in the events industry amplified and be seen and say, we're here. So shortly after creating this idea, this platform, and getting things rolling, the world witnessed a huge social issue, a social problem, and it was the murder of George Floyd. The world responded. People were shocked. And the events industry leaders really stepped forward to start denouncing inequalities and the barriers that was present in the events industry. So what happened a year ago was a major social concern, a big social shift. And it really deeply affected entire communities. Thing is, this was not a very unfamiliar situation to many of us, but to some, this was like, oh my God, I can't even believe this is happening. Some people were like, fine, and that's okay. So when we think of things that are affecting our communities, we can't dismiss the fact that our communities are also our peers, our employers, and our team members. So again, I'm going to say that one more time. What happens to our communities are also what happens to our peers, our employees, our team members, right? So these issues that occur within our communities are also issues that are affecting our organizations. So they become an even broader problem when our brands and organizations ignore them. See, ignoring is sending the message that we don't care about our colleagues, our peers, our team members, right? And that can definitely negatively affect our business. I have a peer right now who is actually an industry friend, and she said, you know what? She's looking for work, she's on the hunt. However, she is making sure that every job she applies for, she is doing her due diligence to look at the research. How do they respond to social issues, right? And she says, you know what, if I see that their board is only made up of, one culture, she's like, I have to think, like, are they going to really be accepting of me? She's not a Black woman, by the way, right? So we have to really take in these considerations of, we can lose big talent because of how our businesses are designed, right? So I want to really ask you all a question, okay? How many of you have been in a friendship or a relationship, and every time that person needed you, you were there? So in the middle of the night, they may call you at like 2 a.m, and you're like, hello, like you're there for them every single time you show up. And when it's time for them to be there for you, it was crickets. How many times has that happened to you? Because it's happened to me. If it's happened to you before, I want you to just comment in the chat section. Just say, yeah, it's happened to me, right? That's happened to me. And it sucks, it really sucks, because what that says is that person can't show up for you, but you're going to show up for them. So I'm going to just paint the picture a little bit deeper here. A year ago, I was working for a company, and when, the social crisis of George Floyd happened, I'm going to say that, I was feeling a deep heaviness, and I really couldn't understand that I was going through this, because on the surface, you go to work, you don't really pay attention to microaggressions. You kind of begin to internalize it, and it becomes the norm, right? And I'm not saying I experienced microaggressions in this particular job, but the situation put me back into all these other experiences that I had been through. Couple that with, being in lockdown, it was a heavy time. And I remember none of my team members who I appreciated, who we shared the same space with, we worked 9 to 5 with, no one reached out. No one just said, are you okay? Are you okay? And then the company released a statement internally a couple weeks later. And I thought, wow, these are the people that I work side by side with, who's almost like a family, if you say, because you spend your time with these people more than you actually spend time with your family, right? They were not showing up for me. And I'm like, I show up for these people every day, and it sucks. Who wants to work for a company like that? Who wants friends like that? To feel like you are not being valued? No one does. This is why it's so important for companies to pay attention when social crises arise, because what happens to your employees is affecting the business. So this wasn't the only organization who missed the beat when it came time to showing up for their community. There's a few, right? Many organizations really miss the mark on sustainability, primarily on the social front. We often extend our efforts to care for causes and feel we're making a tide with social impact, but it's more than that. It's internal. It's our responses. It's how we are affecting the people that work for us, right? So sustainability is really about focusing on meeting the needs of your current, right now, and your future generations. So what is to come? Sustainability depends on three things. It's society, it's the economy, and it's the environment. A lot of the times we focus on the environment, but that's another topic, and that's fine, right? So here's the thing about sustainability. One without the other, you're totally imbalanced. You have to have, everything has to come full circle. There needs to be balance with all three things: society, economy, and the environment. We owe it to the future right now and to our grandkids and our grandkids, right? When we address social sustainability, it's also important to recognize our moral obligation to including DEI into our sustainability plan. So it's ensuring that we're keeping in mind the people we serve and ensuring we're up to the time and showing up all the time for our employees, our clients, and our stakeholders, right? So I'm going to share 3 to 4 brief points on the benefits of, creating a sustainable plan that incorporates DEI. And what these benefits are is that you're ensuring everybody feels like they're part of the organization. That's key, because these are the people that are pretty much the mouthpiece for your organization. When they leave from work at the end of the day, they're going to talk to their families, they're talking to their friends, they're pretty much free marketing for you. So how they feel and how you're showing up for them is vital, right? It ties right back into the bottom line. Right? When you create a supportive and open door environment, people thrive. They're able to be innovative. This helps to contribute to the success of the company, and it builds an unmatched loyalty, right? You're not going to struggle with retaining employees. And we're seeing that right now in the events industry. We're struggling to get people back, right? In 2015, McKinsey published a Why Diversity Matters study, and it found that racially diverse companies tend to outperform industry norms by 35%. So diverse workplaces are higher in performance, innovation, creativity, sales, and stock return, right? So it's no secret that, being inclusive, embracing diversity, it works, right? So I always get this big question. So, how do I become more committed to DEI? How do I implement it into my sustainability methods? How do we even do that? So I'm going to share a couple points with you on how we do that. Okay. So the first thing is super important. It's simple. It's being an ally. This is where it truly begins. It's just being an ally. And we always think that it's really complicated. It's not. It's saying, I realize that something is wrong. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be there for people, and not just people externally, but people that is actually in my workspace, people that I work with, the person next to my cubicle, right? The person that I'm going to do venue hunting with, okay? So it goes beyond business. It's about humanity and doing what is right at all times. Speak up for those who cannot speak. Use your privilege for what is right. And here's the thing, we all have privileges. I have privileges, you have privileges, right? It's always knowing to do the right thing, right? When you spot microaggressions, biases, discrimination, no matter who it is, hold people accountable, right? Speak with your network, ask for help if you aren't sure about how to go about it. Because here's the thing, transparency is gold. It's oil, right? It's so important and it's so respected. If you show up and you say, I don't really know how to do this, people are going to understand, because we get it. This is it's still a complex journey, right? I have a friend who is an industry friend, and she, when things broke out last year, she approached me. She is a BIPOC, but she's not a Black woman. And she said, Keneisha, I need to know how can I help? how can I help? I feel so helpless. And she took the initiative to start a book club that talks about race. So she chose a book and she grouped people who didn't understand these issues, and they read the book, they met back within a month, and they just spoke about their experiences, what they read, and how they didn't really understand, they didn't know that these were things that they were probably even engaging in. So simple steps like that can make so much difference. You know, if your leaders haven't stepped up, bring up the conversation. Have that conversation with them. It's time for us to really remove fear from our vocabulary, right? I want you to also think about supporting companies and networks that are ethnically diverse by partnering or sponsoring. Many small businesses who are people who identify as BIPOC struggle to get loans and financial support to expand despite their strong financial background and their experiences. Okay. So really and truly, it's knowing that DEI is important and just making the simple attempt to start, no matter where you are, because starting is just half the battle, but it's starting. You know, this process is definitely a journey. Is it going to be easy? Heck no. Nothing's easy, right? Events aren't easy. Nothing is easy, but it's just taking the time to start. My second point is really analyzing your business, right? Your company. Where are you in your DEI journey? You know, have you started? How far are you? Can you do more? And how we do that is by listening. Listen to your employees, listen to your stakeholders, listen to your clients, your suppliers, everyone that's involved in the company's success. What do they have to say? Those voices matter. Those people matter, right? If you're a leader, your team is definitely going to follow your organization, and your organization is going to follow, right? But they need to see that you're part of that. Initially, you want to create a plan based on what you've observed and what you've learned. Maybe you need focus groups. Maybe you need surveys, right? The next thing is about putting a framework together. So once you've really observed things and once you've listened to, you know, your team members and your organization, it's how do you go about this? So you might need to invest in training, mentorship, develop some strategies. A lot of the times it comes down to like your recruiting practices and making sure that it's intentionally speaking to diverse talent. Some ways to do this is in your worded job postings, your images, offering work flexibility, right? Start recruiting where there's, you know, diversity and expanding your vendors list to be ethnically diverse. This year, actually, in February, our network hosted 100 highlights, and it featured 100 Black professionals from around the world. And again, we were closing the gap because one of the issues in the events industry that we heard was that we don't know where to find Black talent. So we said, okay, you know what? Let's put this together and show that we are here, right? So the work is being done. There's no more excuses anymore. If you're a larger, more established company, partner with and support smaller businesses or agencies or vendors. If you're not sure where to begin, consult with a trusted network that will help you to bridge those gaps. You know, as organizations, as employees, it's important for us to really create these safe environments where all people feel valued, where they feel heard, where they feel part of the bigger picture. And see, this is the key thing. When our community is good, our company is good. And everyone that we work with is part of our community, right? And my last point to that is just continue to measure your efforts. Everything that you're putting in, assure that you're measuring that. Remember, it's an ongoing journey. This is not a trend. It's not a race, right? So I'm going to say that one more time to you. This is not a trend. This is not a trend, okay? It's what it is. So how are you ensuring that the needs of everyone is being met? Do they have that safe place to offer feedback? Are you doing check-ins with your teams, right? Create policies that your employees can really be held accountable for. Maybe you want to create a task force. And I see KP said community. Yes, community is vital, right? It's everything around us, right? The steps ties all back to accountability and ensuring that you're consistently taking necessary steps to ensure you're committed in the process. So as mentioned earlier, we're in a major shift in the industry. Businesses are trying to recoup. Many people have left the industry. Technology is taking over, and people's lives are also being affected due to social crises that we are facing. So let's use our integrity and ensure that we're addressing overall issues. And we can use simple steps to ensure that, to just make sure everyone is part of that sustainable, ecosystem. Don't forget the past year, okay? We cannot move on into the future unless we are addressing what's happening now. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot of setbacks, right? We have to correct where we went wrong in order to move forward. And also know that the future is right now. So the change that we want to see in the future, it starts today, right? Let's not have, our grandchildren or our grandchildren's grandchildren go through the things that they're going through. Let's go deep. Let's make sure that the teams that we currently work with, our colleagues, they have a better work environment. They feel like, I definitely do want to go back to work. Right? So I'm going to ask you this question. What will your company, what will your team, what will your organization look like? What will your events look like when things are really back at 100? I'm going to tell you this. 67% of active, passive job seekers said diversity is important when considering a job. And this is really something to consider, 67%. So with the current climate and awareness with the need for change, I personally anticipate that number going higher. So even if your company didn't issue a statement, right, denouncing discrimination, injustices, it's not too late. It is not too late. Start somewhere. Make the call, right? As much as it's going to help externally, it will be even more beneficial internally for the people that we're working with, right? So it's really time to start rethinking how we do business and support communities that are facing barriers, discrimination, injustices, right? And let's tie it back. This is the comeback. So let's come back stronger, right? Let's not repeat history and what it was a year, 2 years ago. Let's do it big. All right. And I trust that we're people in events. We can do this. We create, we make anew all the time. Right. So the next time that we meet again and we talk, I want us to talk about the major improvements that we made in our comeback. All right. So thank you. So that definitely does conclude my presentation. For more ways to learn how to take action, connect with me, you can definitely visit my site at www.keneisha.co. You may also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on a lot of social platforms, maybe too much. My handle is GetKWill. And what I'm going to ask you is that you just fill out a quick form for me. I'm going to share it in the chat and just let me know how I did today. I hope that you all took something positive from this that you can take back into your communities, take back into your workplaces, and make change. So I want to actually thank everyone at Eventcombo for having me. It's been super fun. Thank you, Karen, Sanush, Caroline. Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you, Keneisha. Big virtual round of applause for you. I love what you talked about. It's so important. There's so many great takeaways. You're so right.